Everett, Washington. The place is garbage, literal trash to live in. There's no redeeming quality about this place, except for the fact that it's close to Seattle. Which, as it happens, isn't too great of a place to live either. But they have regional qualifiers there pretty frequently, so being that I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player, I don't really plan on going anywhere, let's be real. There was a regional qualifier this weekend, and obviously, I attended. Piloting Pure Endymion. For those of you who remember, for YCS Portland, I piloted 60-card Pendulum, and while the power ceiling was high as hell, and the consistency wasn't too bad either, side decking, really hard, because it's 60 cards. Not only is this deck 40 cards, but it plays like a ton of draw power for a Pendulum deck, so it's pretty hyper consistent. You see your side deck more often, and the icing on the cake, it plays through the new promos really nicely. Jackal King stops Nibiru, and you can natively play Secret Village of the Spellcasters in here, so Dark Ruler No More doesn't do a damn thing. Just recently, I started school back up, so I didn't have too much time to actually prepare for the event, but if I did, I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have done a lot better. I'm dead convinced that Pure Endymion was literally one of the best decks in the room. I just didn't prepare for the event too much because of school stuff. With that out of the way, here's my deck profile, and I hope you guys enjoy. Like I was saying earlier, I think this is one of the strongest combo decks to combat the new promos, because it can play around all of them, and I think it's really cool. So before we get into the deck profile, shoutouts to my boy Sasuke Uchiha. Okay, I won every game that I used him as a field center for. So yeah. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get right into it. Start things off, we have triple copies of Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic. This card is nuts. In a typical Pendulum deck, you're only going to play one, but in Pure Endymion, 3 is a must-off. Being a walking spell trap negation is pretty crazy, and then while he has a spell counter, he can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. So this is like Striker's worst nightmare ever, dude. Like against Striker, you want to span the board with as many of these as possible. They might be able to like Ningirsu one of them, but what are they going to do about the other two? So yeah. And then in the scale, you can remove 6 spell cards from your field, special summon it, and then blow up cards on the field up to the number of cards you control that can hold spell counters. A lot of people miss that word, can. So it's not how many that you control that have spell counters, but any you control that can hold spell counters. That's a game changer. You can just rip through boards with this. I think it's nuts. Triple copies of Servant of Endymion. In a typical Pendulum deck, you play 3. In this deck, you definitely play 3. You remove 3 from it in the scale to special summon itself from the scale, and then a monster from your deck with 1,000 or more that can hold spell counters. So typically, you're going to be summoning Endymion, or you're going to be summoning like Jackal King, or Master Cerberus. That comes up too, but I think I'm going to cut Master Cerberus. Anyway, necessary, gotta play it at 3. Also, if this is a monster and it gets blown up, you can put it back in the scale. So that comes up every now and then, since you're playing Pure. You don't really have too many varieties of like monsters to use for scales. So if you can use this to fix your scale with Electromite, say just you can like dump a scale 8, blow this up, add the scale 8, and then this scales itself so you have the scales you need to pen summon, which is really cool. I didn't know about that until just this weekend. 2 copies of Magister, Pure Endymion. You're going to play more of these, obviously, and I think this is really cool. It's the same thing as Servant in the scale, but instead of from deck, it's from face-up extra deck. So if you have this and your Electromech gets ogred, you can just summon this, and then whatever you send. So it's really cool. And then, like, if it's a monster, it does the same thing. If it's blown up, puts itself back in the scale. Really cool. Didn't want to clog with it, though, because you do play triple Endymion. 2 copies of Master Cerberus. It's probably the worst part of the deck in my opinion. You don't want to play this card. It's kind of cool with Servant because if you summon it off of Servant, you can remove 4 from your field to target a monster your opponent controls, banish it, and then it gains attack equal to the attack of the monster you banish. So it can help do some damage and remove shit really nicely, but it's not a dark. And that was pretty relevant this weekend when I tried to go for Allure and this wasn't a dark. So yeah. I might keep it in there as like a one-of to summon with Servant, but you don't want to play that if you're just looking for turbo cards. Play Curtain Raiser. Next, we have 2 copies of Jackal King. Some people play 1, some people play 2. I like 2 because this is pure Endymion. But if you're playing like Magicians or something, I can see where 1 would be better. But you summon this with Servant most of the time because this can stop hand traps when they try to stop Electromite. It can stop Nibiru if you're going into games 2 and 3 and they try to Nibiru you. And it's just a walking negation, walking monster negation. It's really cool. You only have to remove 2 from it. And it gains 2 every time you activate a spell. Or every time a spell is activated. So you definitely got to play more than 1. Triple copies of Chronograph Sorcerer. And then 1 Time Gazer Magician to summon with it. So I think this is pretty staple in like Pendulum decks so far these days. So you got to play 3. You can scale it and then blow it up to special summon Time Gazer or scale it. But you're not playing any other Magicians, and this becomes a scale 4 if you don't have a Magician near a scale, so never scale this in pure Endymion. Bad idea. But yeah, this summons this, and then this, each time the first card's in your Pendulum Zone that would be destroyed by opponent's card effect isn't destroyed. So if they attempt to Ogre Servant while they have this, the Servant will still go through. And it came up a lot this weekend. It was really cool. Also, if cards are destroyed by Battle Card Effect that you control, special summon this and a monster from your hand. So, either way you slice it, this is a really good engine for, like, Pendulums. 2 copies of Darkworm and 1 copy of Gate 0. I used to be a really big advocate for 3, and in 60 card, I do believe that 3 is the best. But in 40, I see a lot of people only playing 2 Darkworm, so I decided to try it out, and I think I really like it for like 40 card lists, strict 40. So in Grave, you just summon this if you control no monsters, and then if it's been normally special summon, it adds this. So it's there for the +1, and you can pop this with Electromite, get the value, go to Value Village, you know what I mean? So, and it's there for Guard Dragon combos, it is a dragon. 1 copy of Ether, the Evil Empowering Dragon, and 1 copy of Destrudo. These are the last monsters. This is there to summon off of Hieratic Seal with Heavenly Spheres. And I didn't want to play Sloth because I wanted something that would actually like gain me card advantage. So this guy, I'll normally special summon it, targets a monster on the field and banishes it. So it's really cool. And then this is there for the Guard Dragon plays. You don't really care if you draw it. If you draw it, you can just like pen summon it and use it to make triple burst or some stupid stuff. So that's it for the monsters. Spells, we have triple copies of Spell Power Mastery. I opened up more than one of these every now and then this weekend, and that kind of sucks. But you do need to play 3 because it's your way to Servant, and it's your primary way of getting spell counters on stuff, because it adds an Endymion card from deck to hand, and then it also puts spell counters on monsters or cards you control that can hold them, equal to the number that you control and in your grave. So the first one will put 1 spell counter on everything you control, the second one's going to put 2, etc. So alongside the effects that the cards themselves have to gain spell counters, this is going to like put 4 or 5, you know, late game on all of them. It gets really nutty. And then for the field spells, 1 copy of Magical Citadel of Endymion, 1 copy of Secret Village of the Spellcasters, and 1 copy of Dragon Ravine. I don't know how I feel about Endymion because it may be searchable by Spell Power Mastery, but at the end of the day, it's literally just a do-nothing card that like accumulates spell counters as you go. So I may end up cutting it, but it was okay. It was okay. Secret Village is absolutely necessary, I think. Your entire deck is full of spellcasters, you know what I mean? So you can natively play this and have no issues whatsoever. And it stops Dark Ruler no more. So if they like try to side it in, you just side in your extra copies of this, and then they cry because they can't out your board. Dragon Ravine is only there because I have an FTK. I won't be showing it off in this video, but if you want to see the FTK, I'd be happy to show you guys. It's not that complicated, and it's literally just a Guard Dragon combo with extra steps, you know what I mean? So it's not horrible either. It's literally Foolish Burial for Darkworm, so it's there if you need it. And then 1 Terraforming to search usually Secret Village, but sometimes if you need the Darkworm, you can grab that too. You'd much rather search these than hard activate them because it puts more counters on Servant. Next off, 2 Dragon Shrine and 1 Foolish Burial. These are here to dump Darkworm to the grave and put spell counters on Endymion. That's a recurring theme, isn't it? Because Servant's like definitely necessary. So, yeah, dumps Darkworm, helps you get the +1. And then for the draw power, the rest of the deck is draw power. We have 2 copies of Desires. I was trying it out at 3, but I don't like it at 3 in 40 cards. I think 2 is perfectly fine. Banish 10, draw 2. Not an egg 9. No memes. Don't like these memes, but definitely necessary. I like +1s. That's what I do like. 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Helps you filter through your deck, get to stuff you need. And a good majority of your deck is dark, so it's really cool. But what isn't dark is like Master Cerberus. So that's why that's getting cut for like Curtain Raiser or something. But yeah, triple Allure. Triple copies of Into the Void. You literally get rewarded for activating spells in this deck. So you want to have as many Upstart Goblins and draw cards and stuff as possible. So I like this. It's Upstart Goblin, but instead you have to have 3 or more cards in hand. And then it's like Card Demise. During the end phase, you discard all the cards in your hand, but you've already made your board at that point, so who cares? And then 1 copy of Upstart Goblin, because it's the literal Upstart Goblin. So yeah, with all the draw power, this is basically a 30 card deck if you really think about it. And I had no problem seeing my side deck this weekend, which was the goal, because after YCS Portland, I was in no mood to not see my side deck when I needed it. Now for the extra deck, 1 copy of Electromite. It's Pendulums. I need to explain absolutely nothing. This is absolutely mandatory. You need to play Electromite. It's a Pendulum deck. Beat Cop from the Underworld, Harak Seal of Heavenly Spheres, and Dragonian Knight Romulus. These are the rest of the Link 2s that you play. Beat Cop's just generic. I want to play Lampharinkus so badly because it can't be Widow Anchored, but you also can't make Boral Sword with Lampharinkus, so that's why this is here. This is here to make after the Guard Dragon combos at the end. Summons the Ether from the deck as a quick effect and also bounces a card, so pretty cool. This is here for the FTK I was talking about. If you do the FTK, you go into this instead of Spheres, and it searches Dragon Ravine. So yeah, again, it's part of the FTK. I will not be making a video on that, but if you want to see it, I have no problem giving it to you. Triple Burst Dragon for the Guard Dragon combos. So that's a thing. 1 copy of LP, 1 copy of Pisty, and 1 copy of Agripane. Long story short, Dragon from hand or deck, Dragon from graveyard or banished, Dragon from extra deck. At first I wasn't really sure if I wanted to play Pisty, because this is not Magicians, so there will be no double Ignister combo in this deck, but you do play Allure, and if you draw Destrudo off of Allure, you can banish Destrudo, and then do the Guard Dragon combo on the opposite side, and use Pisty to summon the Destrudo from the banished pile, so I do like Pisty. It came up this weekend. Really cool. And the next 2 more Link monsters, we have Boral Sword Dragon for the OTKs, and spicy OTKs. And then Agave Dragon. It's part of the FTK, and by part of it, I mean if you don't manage to get the full FTK, you link into this and burn them for the rest of the damage. If you haven't noticed, there's an overarching theme. I wanted to make this deck as low rarity as possible because I thought it'd be funny, but I couldn't get my hands on an Ultra Boral Sword before the regional, so, you know, that's a thing. But yeah, those both are really cool. Synchro Monsters, we have 1 copy of Dawn Dragster, 1 copy of Cypher Lord Zeta. I wanted to have something to make at the end of the Guard Dragon combo with the Destrudo against something like Danger Thunder, because Dawn Dragster doesn't really do anything, you know what I mean, against that deck. The only thing you could hit is like Sekka's Light or something if they're playing that, or Allure, but there's nothing really impactful you can hit with Dawn Dragster. I wanted to have something I can use to interrupt them, so Zeta's really cool. I wanted to try to make room for like Cyrus Quantum Dragon, but I couldn't find it, so Zeta. It's kind of like Omega, but doesn't really affect the hand, more like the field. So as a quick effect, you could target a special summon monster your opponent controls, banish both that monster and this card until the end phase, until the next standby phase, And then if this is in your graveyard, you could target another Cyframe card in your graveyard and like add it to your hand or something. But you're not playing Cyframes, so that effect isn't relevant. So those are the 2 level 7s. And then for the other 2 synchros, 1 Dragudini Knight Gay Durg and 1 copy of Tempest Magician. These are both for the FTK. So you would summon this off of Agripane instead of going in a Vortex. And once per turn, you can add a level 4 or lower Dragon or Winged Beast monster from deck to hand, then discard one. So I'll show you what I would search and discard in a second. And then Tempest Magician, on summon it puts a spell counter on itself, and then you can discard cards to put spell counters on monsters you control. And then the kicker, dude, is you can remove all spell counters on the field to burn your opponent for 500 for each spell counter you remove. So the idea is you spell counter turbo as much as possible, summon Tempest Magician, and burn them for hella damage. It takes 16 to FTK them. 15 if you, and I always say 15 just because you always have a Agave Dragon to go into. So if you have 15 counters, burn, and then make a Agave Dragon and burn for the rest. 1 copy of Vortex Dragon, because you are playing a Pendulum deck. Vortex Dragon is an Omni Negate. Pretty necessary. And then, last but not least, I'll actually show you guys my side deck for once, because I don't think I've done that yet. So, 3 copies of Sphere Mode. You don't need your normal summon in this deck. Sometimes you need it, but it's not often, so Sphere Mode is really good against the combo decks, and you play a lot of draw power, so seeing your side deck is not an issue. If you need to see Sphere Mode, you probably will see Sphere Mode, and it's really cool. You just plop it on the other side of the board and get rid of 3 monsters. Really cool. 2 copies of Lancia. I didn't see any Orcus this weekend. Actually, nah, that's a lie. I saw a Lunalight Orcus deck this weekend, but I literally just made a board, dude. So it's like, I didn't see any Orcus. I just saw Lunalights, and I negated all of them. So I decided these in blindly. I didn't even know he was playing Orcus in there, because I don't know anything about the deck, but it was really funny. Really good card. 2 copies of Droll. I didn't side this in at all this weekend. I played against absolutely nothing that this would hurt, which is unfortunate because it's a really good card and I thought it would be impactful, but I didn't side it in at all. 1 copy of Blackwing Zephyros the Elite. This is like for the FTK. I side into the FTK because the idea is they take out the hand traps and put in the Sphere Modes and the Nibiru's, which is what I want. I don't want people trying to like mess with me while I'm trying to FTK you and win the game. So if this is in your grave, you return a face-up card you control to the hand, special summon it, and then take 400 damage. So you need this because you need to target this with Destrudo to make it a level 3. So you can use it in like a Servant, a Magister, or your Time Gazer to go in a Tempest Magician. So that's why you go into Gay Durg. You search this, discard it, and then summon it, make Tempest, win the game. The other 2 copies of Secret Village, like, when I say I was ready for Striker, I really fucking mean it. I really wish I saw more Striker, but I didn't see a single Striker deck this weekend, which was crazy because I won the first 2 or 3 games, matches I played. So I figured at like the higher tables I would be seeing Striker, but I saw nothing. If I saw Striker all day, I guarantee you I would have topped. Like, it's really dumb. But yeah, these are they're really necessary in the deck. Stop Stark Ruler no more too. 2 copies of Twister. This is what I ended up cutting for the Zephyros when I decided to side the FTK. It's still really good, don't get me wrong, and it's fast enough to stop anti-spell, which is the whole point of my back row hate in the side. But this deck, the only thing I want to discard is the Dark Worm, and you only play 2, so I figured this would be the perfect thing to cut 2/2. And then Triple Red Reboot for the trap decks. This deck is definitely capable of making Boral Sword and OTKing, so Red Reboot's definitely necessary. This came in common, and so did Twisters, but I couldn't find them in time. It was really sad, because I wanted this to be as low rarity as possible. So that'll do it for my pure Endymion deck profile. I do really think this is was one of the best decks in the room, but I did not have too much time to actually prepare for the regional, which is really sad because if I did, I definitely would have done well. This deck's nuts. against the promos, and it's nuts against Striker, which is really popular right now. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile, and I will see you guys next time.